So I have 3 points, but they'll be quick. So the colt, my God, and papal infallibility. So first the colt. Deacon Randy read the first gospel back by the palms. And of course, the reason why we have palms is during the time of Christ, whenever a king would win a big victory, he would come in on a stallion, probably the greatest horse that they had, and people would wave palms as a sign of hail to the victor. So now we have Jesus coming from the Mount of Olives. We know what happened after this, right? But the people then didn't know what was about to happen. But yet they hailed Jesus, who's riding on a colt, this humble little animal. And I believe there was a movie made from the point of view of the colt, what that colt must have thought as he was bringing Jesus into Jerusalem. And so it's a reminder for all of us that he's calling us to this place of humility, that the God of the universe who became man didn't come to lord it over us, but he humbled himself in every possible way unto death in order to save us. So the first point this week is to reflect on humility. Like, how often do I do things so that people will notice me, people will see me, people will pay attention to me? And how often do I do things just to serve and not to be served? We just had the Seeds of Service this morning, and gosh, I don't know how many volunteers were there, but it was a lot. And it was so beautiful to see how people just did their job and everything got done quickly. The second point is, my God, why have you forsaken me? We hear this psalm today. We'll hear it again on Good Friday. And sometimes I think it's misunderstood that we think that Jesus felt completely abandoned by God. If you think about it, Jesus knew the Hebrew scriptures so well. And in fact, many people would be able to recite the Psalms by heart. They would sing the Psalms as they worked out in the fields. And so when people heard, my God, why have you forsaken me? Many people would know, okay, that's the first line of Psalm 22. Psalm 23 is the famous, the Lord is my shepherd. This is Psalm 22. And the psalm begins by, yes, I feel abandoned. God, where are you? But where does the psalm finish? If you go home and read Psalm 22, it's all about, I don't understand this, but I trust in you. And so this is a great motto for us, or a great mantra to remember this week as we go through Holy Week, to think about, how often we might feel abandoned, how often we might feel like, God, where are you? But even with this, I trust in you. I surrender my will to yours. I trust that you will not abandon us. And God never will. Even when we feel like it, God is with us every step of the way. And then the final point is the papal infallibility. So this is the teaching of the church that, again, is often misunderstood. People think this means that the Pope he can never make a mistake, that he's sinless. That is not true. The popes are still human beings who sin. But what the church says is that the Pope is free from error when speaking ex cathedra, meaning from the chair of St. Peter. That's that teaching authority of the church on matters of faith and morals. And this has only been done 2 or 3 times in the history of the church. But what we hear in the Gospel of Luke that we just read here is one of the foundations of this teaching on, papal infallibility. Jesus says this to Simon Peter. He says, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan has demanded to sift all of you like wheat. So he's speaking to Simon, but he's talking about the 12 apostles, that Satan wants to destroy all of you, just like the 12 tribes of Israel have been scattered. But then he continues, so that's in the plural over the 12. But then he says to Simon Peter very directly and only to him, he says, but I have prayed that your faith, Peter, may not fail. And once you have turned back, you must strengthen your brothers. So we see here how Jesus is interceding for Peter as the head of the church, that he will stay faithful. And this is the guidance of the church. Jesus says, that the netherworld will not prevail over the church. This should give us great hope that no matter how far things may go astray, the Holy Spirit is guiding the church. If it hasn't fallen apart in 2,000 years, it never will. And then when he says, you must strengthen your brothers, so not only is Simon Peter the leader, but he's also the one that's meant to guide and strengthen his brothers along the way. So let us reflect on this week. Don't allow this week to be a normal week. This is why we are Catholic Christians. This week is the pinnacle. It's the World Series, it's the Masters Tournament, it's the Super Bowl, all wrapped into one. And I try to just kind of clear my calendar and make it a week of prayer, make it a week of being available to people, make it a week of, God, help me to be the best disciple I can be. So I really want to invite you to partake in everything that we have to offer this week, from Thursday night, Holy Thursday, the washing of the feet, the adoration. We're going to be visiting 7 churches in the area. Friday afternoon at 3, the veneration of the cross. Saturday evening, the Easter Vigil, where we'll have several of our new parishioners being baptized, many coming into the church for First Communion and Confirmation. And then, of course, Easter Sunday is the highlight of the year. And so we reflect on the colt. May we come to the Lord in humility. We think about, my God, why have you abandoned me? He hasn't, even though it feels like it sometimes, he's with us. And then finally, the papal infallibility, that God is guiding our church. The Holy Spirit will not let us fail, and he's guiding us on this journey of faith.